Hello guys, welcome back to our anime explainer. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Soul Land 2 Peerless Tang Men based on novel. So let's start. The semifinals of the Continental Elite Youth Soul Master started under such an atmosphere. The weather today was a little gloomy. Clouds filled the sky, and it felt a little oppressive. It seemed like it might rain at any time. If it were any other normal time, no one would have left their houses in such weather unless they had something important to attend to. However, it was different today. In the early morning, Radiant City was already bustling. There were huge crowds gathering towards the suburbs. The Sun Moon Empire's military, which was in charge of maintaining order, had already begun their job at the tournament venue in the wee hours of the morning, trying to prevent a stampede. Today, there would be a record-breaking crowd. There were simply too many people. It was impossible to see the end of the crowd. When there were 10,000 people, it would seem as if the crowd was infinite, but right now, there were far more than 10,000 people. Several 100,000 spectators were crowding around the tournament stage. Those furthest from the stage were a good 2 kilometers away. They had to rely on a telescope to see what was going on. Even so, everything still wasn't clear to them. 4 teams entered the venue simultaneously. All of them had gone through several rounds to be able to be present today. It was already the highest honor to be among the semifinalists. However, only one team would win. Who would be the victor? No one was thinking about this question yet. The most important question right now was, which teams would qualify today? The Tang Sect and Shrek Academy were finally seated together. Even though Dai Huabin, Wu Feng and the others didn't like the Tang Sect, they were even more unwilling to get close to evil soul masters, or their direct opponents, the Heavenly Dragon Sect. Shrek Academy came without their teacher. Only their eldest senior sister, Zhong Lishuan, was here with them. Everyone looked very serious. They were going to fight a strong opponent today. There were 8 people on the Holy Ghost Sect's team. From her figure, it was easy to recognize that Tang Yue was seated in the front. Behind her, every member of the Holy Ghost Church had covered themselves up with huge black cloaks. The lady furthest back gave Huo Yuhao the familiar feeling he had experienced earlier. When the Tang Sect came to the waiting area, the members of the Holy Ghost Sect shot them cold and eerie looks. On the Tang Sect's side, everyone was already in their best condition apart from Shusansha, who was still a little pale. They were under more pressure than Shrek Academy in today's semifinals. Against evil soul masters, it wasn't just about victory or failure anymore. Their lives were on the line. This was also why Zhong Lishuan had warned Bei Bei to take care of their own safety. Before they moved off in the morning, Bei Bei had also warned his teammates. However, were they able to control themselves when they really fought? No one was sure about this. For victory and the glory of Tang Sect, Shrek's 7 monsters were very determined. So what if they were evil soul masters? They'd beaten evil soul masters before. The stage had already been repaired and returned to its former appearance. To prepare for the semifinals, it hadn't just been rebuilt. It was also reinforced with steel plates. Even the protective barriers were rearranged so that they wouldn't be damaged like they were before. The 20,000-strong military division in charge of maintaining order today were all fully equipped with weapons and helmets. No matter the rank of the soldiers, everyone from the military was wearing the same white armor. The only difference was in terms of patterns. Officers of different ranks had different patterns on their armor. For the highest-ranking officers, there was an additional feather on their helmets. The color of the feather also varied depending on the rank of the officer. Order was maintained through this military presence. Anyone who dared to defy the military was courting death. On the main stage, Xu Qianran had already arrived. Many officials were there with him. The mysterious imperial tutor was also here. He sat to Xu Qianran's left, while Zhu Zi sat to Xu Qianran's right. Xu Qianran appeared very relaxed today, wearing a smile on his face. The sun had just risen. Even though the weather wasn't very good, that didn't seem to affect his mood. Xu Qianran smiled after receiving a cup of tea from Zhu Zi. Zhu Zi, who do you think will win in the morning round? Zhu Zi was startled and slowly shook her head. She replied, I don't dare to make any wild guesses. However, I believe that the leaders of both teams will be crucial in determining the victor. I've heard that the both of them are the strongest dragon-type soul masters in this tournament. Wang Qiuer is the backbone of Shrek's team. If she loses, I'm afraid Shrek's fighting strength will drop greatly. It's also roughly the same for the Heavenly Dragon sect. Yu Qianlong's abilities seem better than the rest of his teammates. He's also the next sect leader of the Heavenly Dragon sect. He holds a high status in his sect. Xu Qianran nodded satisfactorily and said, then let's guess, will they meet in the individual elimination round? Zhu Zi smiled and said, I shall make a guess then. Xu Qianran laughed and said, all right, you can guess first. However, what's our stake going to be? Zhu Zi shook her head and answered, I won't bet. I'm only making a guess to entertain your highness. Everything that I have belongs to you. What can I use to bet against you? After hearing her words, Xu Qianran was in an extremely good mood. He opened his arms to hug her waist. You are very right. No wonder you are mine, Zhu Zi. Tell me, what's your guess? Zhu Zi said, I think they'll meet in the first individual elimination round. Oh? Xu Qianran was a little stunned as he looked at her. He asked, why? Zhu Zi replied, they are both very proud individuals. They need a fair fight to prove themselves. I think this is especially true for Yu Qianlong. Wang Qiue's individual reputation has been outstanding in this tournament. She's also the first to compete in every fight. He's a man with a dragon-type martial soul, too. There's no way he won't compete against her. If Wang Qiue doesn't fight first, Shrek's momentum will be very weak. She relies on momentum to fight, and I'm sure she'll want to continue that. That's why I think they'll meet in the first fight. Great. Intelligent. It seems like I don't have to worry about passing the military to you, Xu Qianran nodded as he smiled. Zhu Zi was delighted. She wanted to bow, but Xu Qianran stopped her. Zhu Zi, you must remember this. You are no longer my subordinate. You are my wife. You don't have to bow to me. Didn't I tell you that before? Everything that you have belongs to me. I've also treated you as an important part of my life. No matter what I give you, you deserve it. Moreover, I must help you fulfill your wish. You are still inexperienced, but it's fine for you to be a lieutenant now. Work hard. Once you gain some merit, you'll soon control the entire military. I'll be relieved to hand the military over to you. Thank you, Your Highness. Xu Qianran smiled and replied, all right. Let's watch the fight. It's about to start. In the waiting area, Wang Qiue was sitting in the main seat for Shrek's team. Her back was very straight, and she had a dignified posture. She shut her eyes and rested for a while. At this point, Yu Qianlong stood up and walked towards her. After seeing what he was doing, Dai Huobin suddenly stood up behind Wang Qiue. There was a cold look in his eyes. Sit down, Wang Qiue instructed him. Dai Huobin appeared quite stern, but he still obediently sat down. The Tang sect was seated next to Shrek Academy. When they saw how Wang Qiue had managed to tame Dai Huobin with just her words, even Huo Yuhao was very impressed. Indeed, there was always someone more dominant. This wasn't just based on abilities. It seemed like Dai Huobin had been truly won over by Wang Qiue. Yu Qianlong stopped 3 meters away from Wang Qiue. Wang Qiue. As he looked at her, his eyes shone. He didn't even glance at Dai Huobin. His attention was completely captured by Wang Qiue. She was too beautiful. The dark green uniform that she wore accentuated her fair complexion. Her flowing, powder blue hair was like a waterfall behind her back. She didn't have any flaws. Although her eyes were shut, her long eyelashes still curled upward. It was a captivating sight. Yu Qianlong believed that he was a very composed person. However, he felt his breathing getting faster and faster as he came closer to Wang Qiue. What? Wang Qiue asked coldly. Yu Qianlong asked, do you dare to fight with me? What are we betting with? Wang Qiue asked in the same frosty tone. Yu Qianlong said, I'll be the first to compete in the individual elimination round. I hope to fight you. If I lose, I'll join Shrek Academy. If you lose, you must join the Heavenly Dragon sect. Do you dare to take this bet? Wang Qiue revealed a scornful look. Shrek Academy doesn't accept trash. What did you say? Everyone from the Heavenly Dragon sect stood up. They were all infuriated. Yu Qianlong lifted his hand and gestured towards his teammates. He suppressed some of their rage and asked, are you scared? Wang Qiue couldn't even bother to continue talking to him anymore. She shut her eyes, and didn't make another sound. Zhong Lishuan, who was standing behind Team Shrek, stood up. Yu Qianlong, don't try to take advantage of us like that. We are Shrek, an open-minded academy. We don't restrict our students. The Heavenly Dragon sect is a sect. Do you think the conditions are fair in the bet you are suggesting? Yu Qianlong was stunned. He wasn't intentionally trying to take advantage of them. He was just being direct. What do you suggest then? Zhong Lishuan said, all right, I shall make the decision for Chioa. If she loses, she'll join the Heavenly Dragon sect after she graduates. If you lose, you'll be her servant for 3 years. This is only fair. Yu Qianlong hesitated after hearing her words. He was the future sect leader of the Heavenly Dragon sect. It would be too much for him to take if he lost. Wang Chioa also opened her eyes wide after hearing Zhong Lishuan's words. They were filled with surprise. Yu Qianlong was close to her. When he saw her captivating eyes, he unwittingly said, all right, I agree. Wang Chioa was too beautiful. She was so beautiful that he couldn't help himself. Wang Chioa stood up and turned her head to look at Zhong Lishuan, but Zhong Lishuan just nodded at her. Wang Chioa was in a bit of a daze. She still clearly remembered what Zhong Lishuan had said to her before. Chioa, you should know that you can't interfere in Huo Yuhao and Wang Dong's relationship. There are good guys in this world. Why do you have to give up the entire forest for one tree? There'll be opportunities in the future. I'll pull some strings for you. Eldest senior sister, why don't you find a guy for yourself, then? I made a vow. With her intelligence, she understood why Zhong Lishuan had accepted this bet on her behalf. Yu Qianlong was tall and burly. His looks were decent too, and his abilities were strong. He didn't seem to be inferior to Huo Yuhao at all. It was a pity that Zhong Lishuan didn't understand. Her relationship with Huo Yuhao wasn't so simple. There were things that couldn't be changed. Even if I win, you don't have to be my servant. Just end the match, Wang Chioa said. Yu Qianlong was stunned. As he studied Wang Chioa's cold and indifferent look, there was a weird feeling in his chest. In the Heavenly Dragon sect, he was a leading figure who was respected by all. The colder Wang Chioa acted towards him, the greater his desire to make her submit to him grew. In terms of overall abilities, Yu Qianlong didn't think his sect was inferior to Shrek. They might even be better. However, the Heavenly Dragon sect's problem was similar to Shrek Academy's. As the team leader, his cultivation was far superior to those of his teammates. He was unsure of his team's chances in the group round. Although Shrek's individual abilities weren't great either, they had shown 2 martial soul fusion skills during their last team round. Those were martial soul fusion skills. One was a control type, and the other was an assault type fusion skill. Along with their weird time controller, Shrek's team was indeed quite strong. The Heavenly Dragon sect wasn't confident of winning in the team round. Since this was the case, they should be more generous. As long as they beat Wang Chioa in this round, she would join their sect in the future. When that happened. As he finished thinking, Yu Qianlong revealed an arrogant smile on his face. Okay, we'll do as you request. We'll decide victory in this fight. If you win, we'll concede defeat. A man is always ready to give and take. So what if I become your servant? If you lose, you'll join us. That'll be fair. Yu Qianlong acted very manly. He was a straightforward person, and gave off a very mighty feeling. Wang Chioa nodded at him before returning to her position and shutting her eyes. One fight to decide it all. When everyone in the resting area heard about this, they thought that it was a very childish arrangement. Both teams had toiled to reach this stage, but they wanted to end this semifinal match with just one duel. It seemed a little irrational. However, they also realized that it was a good method after thinking about it for a while. By using this method, this duel was likely to be very intense. The staff members in the resting area went to report the decision to their higher-ups. It was the first time in the history of this tournament that such a simple, but crude method would be used to settle the result in a semifinal round. If they were any other teams, such a method was unlikely to be used. The rest of the team's members would likely reject the suggestion. However, Wang Chioa and Yu Qianlong held absolute authority in their respective teams. Their teammates wouldn't object. One fight to decide it all. Fierce. It was time for the duel. On stage, Jing Zhon walked out towards the center of the stage. He had just received the news. I can't believe they thought of this. It's good though. At least I'll be under less pressure. I can prepare more for the semifinal match in the afternoon. Without a doubt, the clash between the Tang sect and the Holy Ghost Church was the more important semifinal round. Semifinals, first round. Shrek Academy versus the Heavenly Dragon sect. Competing members from both parties, please enter the waiting area. Xingzhong shouted, as loud as ever. His voice echoed out through the sound-amplifying Soul tool. When only one member from each team appeared, the spectators were stunned. What was going on? Weren't there supposed to be 7 members from each team? Yu Qianlong and Wang Qiu'er didn't even enter the waiting area. They jumped up on the stage at the same time and walked out to Xingzhong, demonstrating their resolve. Although Xingzhong had already received the news earlier, he was still shocked. They are really going to do it. Young people nowadays are really able to handle pressure. I wouldn't have dared to do this in the past. First semifinal round. Shrek Academy versus the Heavenly Dragon sect. After discussions between both sides, they've decided to use a duel to determine the victor for this round. Shrek Academy and the Heavenly Dragon sect will be sending their team leaders out to fight. When Xingzhong announced this strange arrangement, there was a huge commotion among the spectators. However, there were only a few who were disappointed. Most people started to get very excited. Xu Qianran and Zhu Zi weren't the only ones guessing how this semifinal round between Wang Qiu'er and Yu Qianlong was going to pan out. Almost all the spectators were making the same guesses, especially Wang Qiu'er's supporters. The two teams were using a duel to decide the winner. This was undoubtedly very attractive to the spectators. It was the only way Wang Qiu'er and Yu Qianlong would be able to fight one another in their best condition. The winner would earn the title of the best dragon-type soul master in this tournament. Although Bei Bei's martial soul was also a dragon, he had rarely appeared in the previous rounds. His performances weren't very eye-catching, either. There were very few spectators who remembered him. Wang Qiu'er will win. Someone started shouting among the crowd. His voice made the spectators even more excited. Wang Qiu'er will win. The Golden Dragon Lady will win. Hysterical screams soon engulfed the entire spectator stands. There were too many people who adored Wang Qiu'er. Wang Qiu'er was even given a scare by the huge sound waves that echoed out. She hadn't known that she commanded such a respected position in the hearts of the Sun Moon Empire's citizens. After all, she was representing Shrek Academy. Shrek Academy was the archenemy of the Sun Moon Imperial Soul Engineering Academy. It was unbelievable that she was so popular even under such a circumstance. Apart from her beauty and cold demeanor, her simple and brutally aesthetic fighting style captivated everyone. Yu Qianlong didn't feel depressed because of all the shouting and screaming. Rather, a passionate gaze glowed in his eyes. His thinking was evidently different from an ordinary person's. Wang Qiu'er's popularity only made him more even excited. He was thinking how great it would be if Wang Qiu'er could become his woman. The feeling of making everyone's goddess his woman was. Finishing his train of thought, Yu Qianlong revealed a smile on his face. Just as everyone was cheering on his opponent, he smiled instead. Xingzhong thought it was a little weird, and couldn't help but shudder. I really can't understand young people these days. On the main stage, Xu Qianran looked a little gloomy. He was also very strong, and ruled the entire empire. He naturally had the same thought as Yu Qianlong, and might even be more extreme than him. However, he was tormented because he couldn't do anything even if he could make such a lady submit to him. This torment caused him to grab hard onto his wheelchair handle. If he couldn't own it, then he would rather destroy it. Xu Qianran revealed a ferocious look in his eyes right then. Both parties, please get ready. Since this was a duel, and both parties were already known to each other, Xingzhong skimmed over a lot of the administrative process. He opened his arms wide and pointed to the two sides of the stage. Wang Qiu'er turned and walked away, her face still as cold as ever. Even though she was moved by the screams, she soon regained her composure. While she was very cold, Yu Qianlong's eyes were instead burning with excitement. A strong fighting will rose in his heart. Wang Qiu'er was a tough character. To win her over, defeating her was the first step. If he couldn't even beat her in a duel, there wasn't any meaning to the other matters. Yu Qianlong turned around after taking a deep look at Wang Qiu'er's perfect figure, and walked towards his own side of the stage. The dimly yellow transparent protective soul barriers were set up, isolating them from the outside world. The screaming spectators also gradually quieted down. Their goddess was about to compete, and they wanted to see every detail of the fight carefully, so they stopped all their shouting and screaming. Both Wang Qiu'er and Yu Qianlong retreated to their respective sides of the stage. They stood straight and turned back around. Wang Qiu'er's gaze turned sharp at this instant. Before she turned around, she glanced at Huo Yuhao. Huo Yuhao seemed to sense her gaze. Even though they were isolated by some distance, he still shot her an encouraging look. Wang Qiu'er turned around and muttered softly, "I won't owe you anything at all." No one heard her words. The next moment, Wang Qiu'er's body surged with a frightening fighting intent that was very suppressive. When this sense of suppression appeared, the protective barriers around the stage all lit up slightly. The unbreakable Duel was shocked, and he almost retreated without thought. There was a horrified look in his eyes. Was Wang Qiu'er actually concealing her powers in the previous rounds? Compared to Xingzhon, Yu Qianlong was even more surprised, since he was the one bearing the pressure from Wang Qiu'er. In Yu Qianlong's eyes, Wang Qiu'er seemed to have become a huge, roaring golden dragon. The terrifying sense of suppression caused his martial soul to shudder slightly. The blue lightning tyrant dragon was a top-ranked martial soul, one of the best among dragon-type martial souls. However, it still shuddered in the face of Wang Qiu'er's aura. What did this signify? One martial soul could suppress another martial soul. Simply put, those with tiger-type martial souls had an obvious advantage over those with horse-type, bull-type, and sheep-type martial souls. Such a situation was very common in the world of soul masters. However, it rarely happened in such huge tournaments. That was because every team sent the disciples with the strongest martial souls to compete. These disciples were also their elites. If their martial souls were ordinary, they wouldn't be here. However, Yu Qianlong felt as if his martial soul were being suppressed now. How could he not panic? Before today, he hadn't expected his blue lightning tyrant dragon to ever be suppressed by another martial soul. Furthermore, it was even another dragon-type martial soul. His unyielding desire to win suddenly took a huge blow, and he wore a solemn expression on his face. Begin. Xingzhon wasn't willing to bear the huge pressure anymore. He quickly moved his arm to signal the start of this duel. Wang Qiu'er's head was originally down, but after she heard Xingzhon, she quickly raised it, and her powder blue hair moved on its own, flowing back behind her. Something weird occurred. From the roots, the color of her hair started to change tremendously. It was as if a golden fluid were flowing from the roots of her hair and spreading down to its tips. A bright golden light was released from her body, and a golden layer of fine dragon scales quickly engulfed her form. The bright golden light easily illuminated her half of the stage. Wang Qiu'er demonstrated her overwhelming strength the moment the duel started. Her supporters became even more maniacal, as they screamed hysterically at the sight. Yu Qianlong didn't rush forward, either. He took in a deep breath, and his chest expanded. A deafening, thunderous rumbling echoed out from his body. Bluish-purple dragon scales surfaced, starting from his right arm and quickly spreading to the rest of his body. Very quickly, he grew larger. Amid a blinding bluish-purple glow, 2 yellow, 2 purple, and 2 black soul rings rose from his feet. Lightning surrounded him, and painted his half of the stage a glowing bluish-purple. The gold and bluish-purple lights were extremely dazzling. Before both parties had even clashed physically, they had already raised the excitement level of the spectators. Wang Qiu'er opened her arms wide. She lifted her head, and let out a sonorous dragon roar. Her voice shook the 9 heavens, and caused the surrounding protective barriers to undulate. An intense golden fog rapidly rose from her body. Her 6 soul rings rose with this fog. Wang Dong'er whispered to Huo Yuhao, "Qiu'er seems a little different today. Her fighting intent is very strong." Huo Yuhao nodded slightly. He could also feel that Wang Qiu'er was different right now. She seemed to be even stronger than before. It wasn't just in terms of her soul power, it was also in terms of the fusion of her spiritual and soul power. When Huo Yuhao had faced Long Aotian earlier, he had demonstrated the realm of the unity of heaven, and Wang Qiu'er now seemed to show something similar to that. The only difference was that Wang Qiu'er's fusion wasn't with heaven, but with her own martial soul. This also meant that her golden dragon seemed to have undergone something similar to the second awakening of a body soul. How was a second evolution possible if it wasn't a body soul? This was very weird. Huo Yuhao wasn't sure why, either. However, he was certain that Wang Qiu'er was very terrifying in this state. Even if his body were fine, he believed he wouldn't stand much of a chance against her right now. Yu Qianlong eventually made the first move. Wang Qiu's soaring aura had suppressed him until he couldn't move. He was also afraid the Wang Qiu's attack might overwhelm him if her aura was allowed to soar any further. He rubbed his hands in front of him, and a bluish-purple ball of lightning instantly took shape. Yu Qianlong lunged forward with his left foot and mimicked a flinging motion. He held the lightning ball in his right hand. Suddenly, his first, second, and third soul rings shone brightly, and countless bolts of lightning were released from his body. They started to gather towards the lightning ball in his hand. Bei Bei was shocked when he saw that. His control of lightning is very strong. No wonder he's so confident. Lightning was the most ruthless and unstable element. Controlling lightning was far more difficult than controlling the other elements. As the bolts of lightning gathered, Yu Qianlong's lightning ball turned a darker and darker blue. After a few seconds, it turned black, a black that seemed capable of engulfing everything. Dark purple lightning flickered around the black ball. Even with the protective barriers to isolate them, the undulations of the lightning were still very terrifying. How much energy was needed to compress lightning until it turned black? Yu Qianlong waved his right arm ahead, and the black lightning ball instantly turned into a streak of illusory light shooting towards Wang Qiu. Wang Qiu's eyes had turned completely golden as her roar ended. There was even a dim glow shining around the edges of her eyes. She shot out with no intention of dodging the pitch-black ball of lightning, which continued straight towards her. The intense golden light from her body quickly gathered in her right hand. When she lifted her palm, it was already as shiny as a golden water crystal. Boom! Wang Qiu used her fist to block the ball of lightning. It was her golden fist, also known as the Golden Dragon's Fist. A tremendous boom reverberated, and caused all the lights to dim. The ball of lightning blew apart, as its size expanded 100-fold. It changed into a huge black lightning net that engulfed Wang Qiu. The pitch-black lightning wanted to tear Wang Qiu apart. Terrifying, dark purplish bolts of lightning wreathed her. Another boom sounded as a hole was promptly blown apart in the lightning net. Wang Qiu shifted her feet, and the steel plate underneath her sank slightly. She flew forward towards Yu Qianlong like an arrow with unstoppable momentum. How is this possible? Yu Qianlong was astonished. He hadn't expected his lightning cage to be destroyed so quickly. He had seen quite a few of Wang Qiu's fights earlier. His lightning cage was targeted at her style. Wang Qiu was overbearingly forceful. The best way to beat her was by pestering and weakening her. However, she was too strong, even his lightning cage was instantly overcome. Even though there were still small streaks of lightning dancing around her as she burst out, they were unable to penetrate her dragon scales. Yu Qianlong also moved, as he didn't have time to think. Another deafening dragon roar sounded. His body grew in size as he reached more than 2.5 meters in height. His bluish-purple scales shone with razor-sharp edges. As he lifted his right hand, he reached out towards Wang Qiu with his lightning dragon claw. Wang Qiu also lifted her right hand. Her spear converted into a streak of golden light that appeared in her palm. She swept her spear out, and the remnants of lightning around her body were guided towards the tip of her spear, and then flung to one side. It wasn't that the lightning cage was useless against her. It was just that she had burst forward without any hesitation. By the time Yu Qianlong realized this, his lightning dragon claw had already been destroyed by Wang Qiu's golden dragon spear. The two of them had finally clashed directly. Wang Qiu pointed her spear forward, and was about to stab Yu Qianlong in the chest. Yu Qianlong was also very strong. Just like Wang Qiu, he was most adept at close combat fighting. He reached out towards the spear. At the same time, he shrank down and dropped his shoulder before moving forward. Wang Qiu would never let him grab hold of her spear. She withdrew her spear behind her back and also dropped her shoulder. Their shoulders met, and she crashed into Yu Qianlong. After Yu Qianlong's body ballooned in size, he was extremely large. Wang Qiu's slender figure seemed tiny in front of him. This video will end here.